Hello and good morning, and welcome back to our weekly Sustainable Business Talks. And this week is a really foundational question. I think in some ways it might be the most important thing to consider when you're looking at your business overall, and that is finding why you are a yoga teacher at all. And I think sometimes it's such an obvious question that we kind of take it for granted and don't always look deeper or inquire further. But this can be a really important thing to really investigate, to really connect with, because it's the foundation of your entire practice. And I think it's the reason why it's so easy to get a bit lost in our work, because there's so many things that we can do in yoga. There's so many different business models out there, so many different types of yoga classes. And sometimes we can be looking around at other people who seem to be successful, or we might be looking for opportunities in our area and feeling like this is the direction we need to go. But if we're not checking in with ourselves about what our kind of founding principles are as a yoga teacher, then down the line we can find that either we're dissatisfied with our work, or it might be that it doesn't seem to be working. It's not as successful as we thought we would be. And so I wanted to rewind all the way back to the beginning and think about your why. Now, I don't know if you've heard of Simon Sinek, as Sinek. So he's very famous in the business world around finding your why. So if you want to look him up, there are talks. His book is very interesting. But a phrase of his that I like is to live your life with purpose, on purpose. And I think it's a nice summary. And when we think about our yoga teaching, it's to teach our yoga with purpose, on purpose. So it's connecting with, our deeper beliefs and principles, and also the action that we take. So our life purpose, but doing something on purpose, are the actions and the choices that we make. And so what does it mean then to find the why? And it can be a difficult thing. And often there's layers of it. And every time you have an answer, then I'd encourage you to look a bit deeper. So often when we speak to people about, why are you a yoga teacher? I think two of the most common things that come up, and certainly were my answers at the beginning, is, oh, I love yoga so much. It's so brilliant. I just want to share it with the world, which is a lovely sentiment. Or it may be something like, I wanted to turn my passion into my livelihood. I wanted to do something that I really love for a job. And I think I had both of those things. But underneath that, there are deeper reasons, because there's probably other things in the world that you think are great, that people would benefit from, that you're not doing. It might be other things that you're really passionate about that you're not doing as a business. So there's something else a little bit deeper than that. And really, the why is much more about your underlying beliefs and values. And it's also about who you are as a person, what it is that's unique to you, what you bring to the world. And part of what our why is is going to be the reason why your best friends love you, you know, why your long-term students love you. What is it? And I'd encourage you to maybe ask them, you know, if you're feeling a little bit stuck. You know, some good friends are always, you know, and it might take a little bit of toing and froing, because, you know, it might feel a bit weird to say to them, you know, what is it about me that, you know, that you love, that why are we, you know, such close friends? So it might take a few back and forth until you get something a little bit more specific. You might want to either, you know, have conversations with some of your long-term students that you're close with, or even doing something like a survey or some feedback forms, just getting a little insight from other people, because it's hard to see ourselves, I think. And, you know, we may shy away from blowing our own trumpet or thinking we're that amazing, but maybe asking other people, you know, what is it about me that, like, why do you come to my class and not somebody else's? And generally, it won't so much be the content, although obviously that's an important thing, but it will be something about the transformation that somebody has or how you make them feel. And this starts to connect in with your why you're a yoga teacher and what it is that you want to bring to the world. And this is when you find those reasons, then this will help you to find your voice as a teacher and just be really authentically you. And it's why when we try and emulate other successful teachers, it usually doesn't work, because the really successful teachers have found their why, they've found their voice, they're being very true to themselves. And so what they do is in alignment with who they are as a person. So it all flows, and that can be really magnetic. And then when we try and emulate that, if it's not in alignment with who we are as a person, it's going to feel energetically wrong. It's going to feel a little bit forced or synthetic, or, you know, a little bit artificial in a way, and it's just not going to feel natural. And I think, you know, I struggled with that quite a lot, with trying to be like the teachers who I thought were amazing, thought that's how I was supposed to be as a teacher. And it took me a long time to get the confidence and to feel okay to really find my own way with it, find my own voice and teach in a way that was just me, you know, in terms of the language that I use, or the pace of my class, or the general presence that I bring. You know, that's just something unique to me. And there are other teachers that I see, and part of me is a bit, oh, I wish I could be that charismatic or that funny or that inspirational. But, you know, maybe that's what makes them a good teacher for me to go to as a student, but that's not me as a person. So a big part of the why is just really connecting in with your core values, and who you are as a person. And so that we are aligned with ourselves. And as soon as we're out of alignment with ourselves, things are not going to flow, and it's going to affect, you know, our well-being. It's going to affect the people that we work with. And when we are in alignment with ourselves, then business becomes easy, teaching becomes easy. You know, we're in integrity. And when you are in alignment with yourself, then the, you know, the inspiration flows, you know, we have integrity, there's nothing jarring, there's no blockages. So everything flows so much more easily, rather than trying to remember a script and be a little bit different to how we really are, or teaching a yoga style that's not 100% us. think the more that we find ourselves, the more in alignment that is. So it's so much easier just to be yourself. And it sort of reminds me back to my kind of my alternative life before I moved into the whole field of complementary healthcare and yoga. I used to do offshore incorporations for a company. And so, you know, I had this corporate life, and I knew very quickly that this was not the right thing for me. I hadn't worked out what I wanted to do yet, but I just knew that this wasn't the right job for me. And it really felt like I was putting on a costume every day and acting the corporate person. And when I was out of work, I didn't like talking about my job. I felt a bit embarrassed about it because it wasn't in alignment with my values. You know, it was all perfectly legitimate. But for me, it felt like my job was helping super wealthy people not pay tax. And that just didn't sit right with me. So I knew I needed to have work that was in alignment with my core values. So, you know, you may have something like this in your background too, but it's finding something where you're in alignment with yourself. So I want to ask you or invite you to think back to the time when you first did your yoga teacher training, and just tune into what was behind that decision. Why is it, of all the things that you could have chosen to do, that yoga was the path that you chose? And I'll just invite you to sit with that for a bit, because you'll get a quick answer that maybe is a practical reason. But there'll be other reasons underneath that. It might have been that your yoga teacher actually made the suggestion to you. It might have, it could be a whole raft of reasons initially that maybe just seemed practical, right place, right time. I was interested in yoga, wanted to deepen my practice. There's all of those things, and they're true and they're valid. But there's probably something a little bit more underneath that. Because again, we probably have other things that we're interested in, other suggestions that people make. But we might just dismiss them out of hand because there's something in us that knows that's not what we want to do with our lives. But what was it about teaching yoga, doing that teacher training? Why did you say yes to that? Why did you put in the time, the energy, the money? What was it within that? What was in the idea of being a yoga teacher that made you take those steps? Because it's a big commitment. It's not just a casual thing. So sometimes just thinking back to our initial training, and those reasons don't have to be the reasons now why we're teaching the way that we do, but there'll be a kernel within there that will be a core value or a core sense of who you are as a person that will be true no matter how your business develops overall. So maybe you've got a few things. If it's not coming now, then maybe set aside a time to investigate that a bit further. It might help give you some insights. I think it's also worth asking, you know, what was it about yoga overall that made you commit to that as a practice in the first place? Again, you've probably done lots of different activities, you know, and obviously yoga bridges so many different areas of life in terms of physical activity, philosophy, and, our mindfulness, breathing, meditation. There's all of those different aspects. And again, what was it about yoga what did it do for you? Why did you make that commitment to do your own regular practice? You could also inquire about, when you're teaching now, what is it that just really lights you up about teaching? What do you really love about your job? What is it that when you have a class that goes really well, or when you think about being a yoga teacher and you think of the things that give you that, oh yeah, I love my job, what is it? Because again, this will take you closer to the reason why you're a yoga teacher. Now, obviously, we all want this to be, we want our businesses to be successful. And so, the practical side of things matter. We want people to show up to our classes. We want to earn enough money. That is super important, and it is what makes a teaching business sustainable. But it's not your why. There's probably easier ways to make money. I think if I had stayed in my offshoring corporations business and, gone further into working in the city, I probably by now would be earning a lot more than I am. But equally, I knew that was a path that was so out of alignment with how I wanted to live, with what I wanted to do, that it would literally make me sick. And it's not worth my physical or mental health. So there are, as much as we want to be, financially secure and have our businesses be successful, that won't be the real why. So thinking about the things that really light you up about teaching. And so when we find our core why, which is often about, like I say, our values, who we are as a person, and maybe the transformation that we help other people achieve, then these are the things that are going to give you the best job satisfaction. These are the things that are going to keep you motivated to carry on. And as we develop over the years, the practical stuff that we do might change. So the way that we teach, the sorts of classes, that might develop. But if we have in mind what our why is, then we can keep coming back to that to make sure that we're on track. And that's in two ways. So it's on track in terms of not getting diverted by lots of exciting things that takes us away from our purpose. But also that when we get bumps in the road, when we get a dip in energy, when we lose heart, and all of those things are normal, that we have the why to come back to. Because otherwise, when we hit a difficult patch and we're sat there going, I don't even know why I'm doing this, it's really hard then to take the steps you need to take things forward and get back on track again. And that's where we can fall into fear and panic and sort of rush around trying to magically fix things by maybe copying an idea that someone else is doing that looks like it's working, but it's working for them probably because they're being really authentic and they have a clear vision and they know why they're doing what they're doing. So these are all things to be mindful of, because then we can help be really specific and clear in our messaging. And it will make our voice unique, and it will give a reason why students come to your class. So even if you're doing, say you teach pregnancy yoga and there's already a pregnancy class, well, the way that you teach it, the kind of experience that you offer, your particular energy, your voice, your reason why you do this will be different to the other teacher, and that will resonate with different people. So you're not trying to necessarily get the same clients. And if they have a successful class, try to ignore it and actually connect with yourself and what's the way that you want to teach. And it will be different, and it should be different, because you are uniquely you, and the students who love you will love you because of who you are. And it doesn't mean that you're better or worse than any other teachers. And again, when we go back to thinking about our friendships, hopefully everyone in the world has some close friends. And the friendships that you have are because you resonate with each other as individuals. And other people might not, either feel so drawn to your friend or to you, and they've got their own best friends. And that's not because anyone's better or worse. It's finding the fit. It's finding that kind of resonance between people, that alignment, that connection. And so, what's true within your close friendships about who you are as a person and how you make your friends feel is going to kind of relay out into your teaching, because that's just who you are as a person. So, the reasons why my students get attached to me are going to be completely different to why your students get really attached to you. And perhaps, if I was to cover and come in your class, they might feedback going, yeah, she was, it was a nice class, but we much prefer you. And that's because they were drawn to you and to your teaching in the first place. So in the same way that, if you have a cover friend, who's going to step in and help your best friend in a crisis, so, it might be useful, but it's not the same as having you help them. So it's those sorts of things that make you unique. And it's finding the reasons why you love being a teacher. What is it about what you bring to people and the transformation that you see for people? And that will help you make those business decisions so you can do more of what you love. You can do more things that's in alignment with yourself, and then it flows and it's more easy. And when you're finding what those things are, then I'd really encourage you to write it down somewhere. You could put it as a sticker on your home screen, on your laptop. I would put it up on the wall somewhere, that there is a kind of vision statement for you as a teacher that you can connect back into, so that when you have decisions to make, you can check, well, is this bringing me in alignment with my vision? Is it taking me closer to my vision? Or is this a distraction? Is it taking me away? And then for the days where we just feel a bit, I say, disheartened, low energy, a bit stuck, we can go back to our vision and go, this is why I do what I do. So yeah, it could be about so many different things. It could be about helping people to love their own body. It might be helping people to, reduce their pain, and again, that could be on a lot of levels as well. I remember listening to a podcast with a teacher who has a very niche thing around working with chronic back pain. And she's built a hugely successful online business. And because it was her experience, yoga really helped her. She knows it inside out. She is really passionate about wanting to help other people move beyond their back pain. And so this is a mission for her, and it's really aligned with her experience and who she is. And her teaching style is very much her. And so this is what we need to do as individuals, because I'm sure there's loads of people out there teaching yoga for backs, but she's doing it in her way and speaking to a very sort of specific group of people. And so that has flown very easily for her. And so it's finding those things for you around, you know, what is it that made you fall in love with yoga? What did it do for you? You know, what transformation did it give you over time? And these things may again change over time. Thinking back to what was the yes behind doing your teacher training in the first place? And there will probably be something like, I just wanted to share yoga with people, but there'll be more stuff underneath that. So thinking about what is the transformation that we're helping people achieve? What is it that gives you the job satisfaction? And so I know for me, in the cancer classes that I teach, you know, my job satisfaction, the things that make me go yay, or the things that make me well up, are when people say, I was too scared to do X and now I'm doing it, or I thought I would never be able to drive again, but now I'm driving. You know, I didn't think I'd ever get the confidence to go back to work. I felt too broken, but just letting you know, like next month I'm going back. So all of these things, you know, and the fact that their yoga practice has been a big part in helping them to achieve those goals is the sort of, that's what gives me a big yay, more than them achieving a particular posture in class. It's like we do these practices because they're really helpful, but the goal isn't the practice. The goal is what the practice gives them, you know. And that for me is the thing that gives me the yay. So that's what I love about teaching. And so when, you know, maybe when I hit days where I feel a bit stuck, and then I think about the difference it makes to people's lives, that's the thing that gets me unstuck. And that sort of transformation then helps underpin, say, some of my lesson planning, or some of the points of reference that we might have. We have a message, Nirmala. Yes, help to understand why I get pains, and after 10 years, I'm able to understand other people's. That's amazing. Yes. No, absolutely. So, you know, very often it's our own experience, our own transformation that becomes a big teacher to us. And then we can share that experience and that wisdom with others and help them to have the same transformation. So, if that is going to be the thing that kind of gives you that lift and going, yeah, this is why I teach. You know, it's not about, you know, having lots of followers on Instagram. It's not just about, you know, having full classes and earning money. That's important. But if you have full classes, earning money, teaching in a way that you don't feel 100% comfortable with, then it's going to start to affect how much you love your job. And it can distract you from kind of your life's purpose, you know? I mean, thinking back to the beginning, living your life with purpose, on purpose. And so it's finding that why, that, you know, what's the purpose of your teaching? Maybe what's your life's purpose? And so that may change over time. And because yoga is so amazingly varied, like your teaching style may change over time. Mine certainly has. But underneath it all, it's the transformation. I think it's for me, it's always been based around health and helping people to be empowered to look after their own well-being, with and being self-reliant. You know, when we learn all of these practices that we can do at home for ourselves, about helping to connect people with their bodies, that whole body awareness, and developing good habits, you know, and helping people be more in control and have more freedom to have a healthier life, and maybe helping them through that self-awareness, helping them to tune into their purpose a bit more, to be a bit more embodied, a bit more mindful, and come to realizations about maybe what they need to do in their lives. So for me, that's always been a massive part of why I teach yoga. Other people may have completely different reasons, or they might have the same reasons, but the way they deliver that is completely different because it's more in alignment with who they are as people. So looking at the time, so as a summary, I think it's why did you train initially? What is it you love about yoga? What is it that lights you up about teaching now? Those are really key questions as to the real reasons why you're a yoga teacher. And once you have those, write them down, put them somewhere where you can see them, and that's going to help you to stay on the path of your purpose, and help you make the decisions that are going to keep you on track and keep you motivated in the down times. So I'm going to leave you with that. Again, I'd love to hear more about any insights that you have, any aha moments, and just pop them in the comments underneath. And I will see you here, same time next week. Have a lovely rest of your week. Take care.